Have you ever noticed how some women don't try to impress anyone? Yet, people can't stop watching them. They might not be the youngest, or even the most conventionally beautiful, but there's something about them that lingers. Something you can't define, but you feel. It's not in the way they dress. It's not in how they talk. It's in the way they are. The way they move is like they already belong wherever they stand. That kind of presence doesn't come from youth. It comes from peace, and peace is magnetic. This isn't luck. It's not about charm or good genes. It's the result of choices, tiny, deliberate ones, made over years of self-awareness. Habits that slowly reshape the way she walks through the world. And that's what we're going to uncover today. The 6 habits that turn an ordinary woman into someone unforgettable. Once you understand them, you'll start to feel the shift too. You'll notice how people respond differently, how conversations last longer, how attention finds you even when you don't ask for it. Stay until the end, because the last one is the quietest, but the most powerful. Most women overlook it completely, but once you practice it, you won't just attract others. You'll start attracting peace itself. Because real magnetism isn't about being admired. It's about being aligned. And when a woman finally aligns with who she truly is, her energy does the talking for her. Most women are taught to chase beauty long before they ever understand what it truly means. They learn to fix, to compare, to compete, to treat their reflection like a report card they can never quite pass. But here's the truth. Beauty that depends on approval will always be fragile. You can't build magnetism from fear. And that's what most people never see, the difference between attraction and energy. Attraction fades when attention fades. But energy lingers. You've probably met someone who wasn't particularly stunning, yet somehow, every time they entered the room, the mood shifted. People smiled more. Conversation softened. It wasn't makeup. It was present. Jung would call that integration, the rare harmony between how you appear and who you are. Because when those two finally align, your energy becomes coherent, and coherence is what others feel as charm. The reason many women lose their light isn't age, it's disconnection. They've been told for years that being desired equals being worthy. So, they start performing. They wear what pleases others, say what's safe, hand ID what's real. But performance drains life. Presence restores it. You can't be magnetic if you're acting. Real power begins the moment you stop trying to be perfect and start trying to be whole. And wholeness is far more seductive than perfection, because perfection makes others feel small, while wholeness invites them in. Think about it. The women who leave an impression on you are never the ones pretending to have it all together. They're the ones comfortable in their stillness, in their laughter, even in their silence. They've made peace with imperfection, and that peace radiates more than beauty ever could. So if you've been taught to measure yourself by mirrors, stop. The mirror can only reflect what's outside, not the quiet fire within. Stay with me, because what comes next will show you exactly how to rebuild that inner field of energy, and how 6 simple habits can make the world respond to you differently. Not because you've changed who you are, but because you finally stopped hiding it. If this reflection speaks to you, don't forget to subscribe. It helps us reach more women who need to hear this. Thank you for being here. The first habit of a truly magnetic woman is simple but rare. She chooses calm over chaos. In a world that rewards loudness, drama, and reaction, her silence feels almost rebellious. You can see it in small moments. When a text goes unanswered, when someone tries to provoke her, when plans fall apart. She doesn't panic. She doesn't chase for clarity or attention. She exhales. She grounds. And somehow, that stillness changes everything. Jung believed that a person's outer world mirrors their inner state. So when your mind is in chaos, life echoes it back. But when your energy becomes centered, people feel it. They don't know why, but they trust you more. They relax around you, and they listen when you speak. Calm energy is not passive. It's power without noise. It's not that she doesn't feel anger or sadness. She just refuses to let them drive. She's learned that peace is not the absence of emotion. It's the mastery of it. Every time she chooses stillness, she sends a message to the world. I am not available for chaos. And slowly, chaos stops choosing her. Because energy meets energy. What you embody is what you attract. Most people move like storms, reacting, explaining, defending, thinking that urgency makes them strong. But urgency is a symptom of fear. Calm, on the other hand, is rooted in trust. When you trust yourself, you stop rushing to control. You stop trying to fix what doesn't belong to you. And that's when others start gravitating toward you. Because your calm becomes their safety. Remember this, the woman who can stay grounded when everything shakes isn't cold. She's magnetic. Because stillness in a world addicted to noise feels like truth. Stay close, because in the next part, we'll go even deeper into what truly sets her apart. The habit that transforms her presence into quiet authority. The second habit of a magnetic woman is that she speaks with intention. She doesn't fill silence just to escape it. She doesn't talk to prove her worth. Her words are chosen, not to impress, but to align. When she speaks, you can feel that she's thought before she formed the sentence. Her tone carries calm. Her pauses carry confidence. Jung once said that words hold psychic energy, and this woman knows it. She treats language like energy, never careless, never wasted. Because she understands that how you speak isn't just how others hear you, it's how you teach them to feel around you. You've probably met someone who says very little, but when they do, everyone listens. That's not a coincidence. That's energy discipline. A woman who speaks with intention has already made peace with silence. And silence, to her, is not emptiness, it's clarity. When she pauses before she responds, she's not being slow or unsure. She's staying connected to herself. Most people speak to fill a void. She speaks to keep it sacred. And that's what makes her unforgettable. Because when your words are rooted in awareness, they land differently. They have weight, not volume. Presence, not noise. You start to realize that communication isn't about saying more, it's about meaning more. She knows that tone reveals consciousness. The way someone speaks shows where their energy lives. Angry voices reveal wounds, rushed words reveal fear. But her voice? It feels like still water, grounded, patient, certain. When she says no, it's soft, but final. When she says yes, it's full, not forced. That's why people remember her. She doesn't speak to dominate. She speaks to direct energy. And people follow energy they can trust. This doesn't mean she's quiet all the time. It means she's intentional. She knows when to listen, when to speak, and when to let silence do the work. Because in the psychology of attraction, the most magnetic field is created not by how much you express, but by how clearly your energy speaks before your words do. Jung taught that true power comes from congruence, when your inner tone matches your outer voice, and she's mastered that. Her calm doesn't come from restraint, but from choice. She doesn't need to raise her voice to be heard because her presence already does the talking. Stay until the next part, because we're about to explore the third habit, one that reshapes how others feel around her, without her having to say a word. The third habit of a magnetic woman is that she holds boundaries with grace. She doesn't need to raise her voice to say no. Her energy says it for her. You'll notice this especially in moments when someone pushes too far, asks for too much, talks too loudly, or expects her to shrink to make space. She doesn't argue. She simply doesn't move. Jung said that what you accept silently, you invite repeatedly. And she's learned that peace without boundaries isn't peace. It's exhaustion. So, she honors her energy the same way she honors her word. She answers messages when she means to. She leaves rooms when her presence no longer feels respected. She doesn't punish, but she doesn't explain either. Because real boundaries don't need to be enforced. They're felt. Most people think strength looks like confrontation, but true strength often looks like withdrawal. A quiet, conscious exit that says, I choose myself. The beauty of her boundaries is that they aren't rigid. They breathe. They're not built to keep people out, but to keep her energy clear. She knows who drains her and who nourishes her, and she's not afraid to choose peace over obligation. This is what makes her magnetic. People sense that her attention must be earned, not demanded. And in a world where everyone overshares and overgives, that kind of restraint feels sacred. It's not rejection, it's respect. Jung wrote that nothing strengthens the ego more than boundaries. Because each time you say no from awareness, you affirm identity. You remind your unconscious, I am safe in my own space. A woman who owns her space teaches others how to treat it. And paradoxically, that's what makes people want to be closer to her. Not because she's available, but because she's selective. Her value doesn't increase when she's seen. It deepens when she's centered. Stay with me, because next we'll explore the fourth habit, how she protects her emotional energy without closing her heart, and why that balance makes her unforgettable. The fourth habit of a magnetic woman is that she protects her emotional energy without closing her heart. She feels deeply, but she doesn't drown in feeling. That's the difference. In a world that praises emotional intensity but fears vulnerability, she's learned the art of staying open without absorbing everything. You can see it when someone brings chaos to her calm. She doesn't mirror it. She observes it. She knows what's hers and what isn't. Jung once said, "The world will ask you who you are, and if you don't know, it will tell you." She knows herself well enough not to be defined by someone else's storm. When others project their pain, she doesn't take it personally. She recognizes emotional transference, the way people hand their chaos to whoever will carry it, and she simply doesn't carry it anymore. Not because she's indifferent, but because she's responsible. Her empathy is strong, but guided. She knows that feeling. Everything for everyone is not love. It's leakage. So she listens without losing herself. She comforts without collapsing. That's why people feel safe around her. Her calm doesn't deny emotion. It gives it direction. And this is something few understand. Protecting your energy doesn't mean building walls. It means managing gates. You decide what enters and what stays. Her heart is open, but guarded by awareness. She doesn't shut down when hurt. She slows down. She doesn't close off. She clears out. Pain, to her, is no longer an enemy. It's information. And that's what makes her different. Because she's not afraid to feel. She's afraid to lose connection with herself while feeling. That's emotional maturity. Most people confuse detachment with strength, but she knows strength is staying soft without breaking. Her openness is not naivety, it's wisdom. Because she knows that only the heart that stays open can truly heal. But only the one with boundaries can stay whole. And when you meet her, you'll feel it. She listens like water listens to sound. Everything in her receives, but nothing in her drowns. Pause there. In a moment, we'll step into the fifth habit, the one that transforms her quiet empathy into visible power and reveals how presence becomes influence without effort. The fifth habit of a magnetic woman is that she embodies quiet confidence. It's the kind of strength that doesn't need to announce itself. You simply feel it. She walks into a room and doesn't rush to belong. She belongs by existing. That's what true confidence feels like. Not noise, not posture, but presence. Jung called it individuation. When the self no longer seeks validation from the collective. When you stop chasing approval, your energy changes shape. You no longer try to prove your worth. You radiate it. And that's what people respond to. Most women are taught that confidence is performance, the right words, the right gestures, the right tone. But real confidence begins when you can sit in silence and still know you're enough. She doesn't compete for attention because she's no longer competing with herself. There's no internal war left to win. She's been through it. The seasons of doubt, the nights of comparison, the urge to fix what was never broken. And from those ashes, something quieter emerged. Self-trust. She trusts her timing, her intuition, her process. That's why her movements are slow, her gaze steady, her laughter unforced. She's not performing with confidence. She's living clarity. You can't fake that. You can sense it in her stillness. She's not afraid of pauses because she no longer fears being unseen. She knows that what's real never needs to shout, and that's what makes her magnetic. She permits others to rest. Around her, people feel calmer, truer, less anxious to be more. Her energy says, "You're safe to be yourself here," because only someone who has faced her own chaos can create peace for others. That's why Jung described individuation as a form of sacred solitude, the point where you no longer fear standing alone. She doesn't isolate, she integrates. She's learned that solitude isn't loneliness, it's sovereignty, the ability to hear your own voice in a world of noise. And that's the quiet flame she carries, not the fire that burns, but the one that warms. In a culture obsessed with power that conquers, she embodies the power that calms. And that calm feels like truth. Stay close, because in the next part, we'll explore the sixth and final habit, the one that turns her self-awareness into radiance and shows how real magnetism doesn't chase attention. It attracts alignment. The sixth habit of a magnetic woman is that she radiates awareness, not effort. Everything about her feels natural, the way she speaks, moves, and connects. She's not trying to be anything. She's simply awake. Awareness has replaced ambition. You can sense it in how she looks at people, not to evaluate, but to understand. Jung believed that when you bring light to what was once unconscious, you don't just change yourself, you change the atmosphere around you. And that's her secret. She's no longer performing emotions to be seen as kind or pretending confidence to be respected. Her peace is real. Her joy is quiet. Her presence feels like morning, gentle, inevitable, and completely unforced. That's why people are drawn to her. Not because she shines, but because she's clear. Clarity is magnetic. It's the energy of someone who has stopped trying to be special and started allowing herself to be whole. And wholeness always glows. You can't manufacture that glow. It's born from awareness, from meeting yourself over and over until nothing about you needs to hide. And maybe this is where the search ends, not in becoming more, but in becoming true. Take a breath. Feel your own stillness. You don't need to chase magnetism. You already have it. You just forgot to stop running long enough to feel it. Every magnetic woman eventually learns this truth. The power that draws others in isn't charm. It's alignment. Alignment between her words and her truth, her boundaries and her heart, her stillness and her passion. She has stopped treating her light and her shadow as enemies. She understands what Jung meant when he said, "I'd rather be whole than good." Because goodness is often obedience, but wholeness is freedom. Real beauty begins when you no longer hide the parts of you that once felt unlovable. When you stop filtering yourself to fit the story someone else wrote about you. That's when your energy becomes clean, clear, magnetic. It's not perfection that captivates people. It's presence. The quiet confidence of someone who has looked at every part of herself and said, "You can stay." That kind of peace is rare, and it changes everything. The reason people can't explain her allure is that it's not physical, it's psychological. Her energy speaks to the unconscious in others, reminding them of what they've lost. Authenticity. Jung believed that when a person integrates their shadow, they become luminous, not because they add light, but because they stop resisting darkness. And you can feel that in her. She doesn't chase being understood. She embodies understanding. She doesn't demand attention. She commands it through calm. She doesn't try to inspire. She lives in a way that makes you remember your own strength. That's the real secret. Magnetism isn't about attraction. It's about resonance. When you align with yourself, the world aligns with you. Everything you attract reflects your level of self-connection. So if you've spent years chasing what's outside, pause. The moment you start looking inward, your entire field shifts. You stop asking, "How can I be noticed?" and start realizing, "I already am, when I'm true." That's the essence of this journey. Not to become more desirable, but more aware. Because awareness, quiet, steady, unshakable, is the most beautiful thing a woman can ever wear. Imagine standing before a mirror at dawn. The light is soft, forgiving, and everything it touches looks real again. You don't rush to adjust yourself anymore. You just look, not to fix, but to see. That's where all transformation begins. In the quiet moment you finally meet your reflection without judgment. For years, you were taught that attraction was something to earn, that you had to become more to deserve it. But now you know better. Magnetism isn't a performance. It's the natural result of being fully present in your own life. When you stop chasing approval, when you stop explaining your worth, something inside you settles, and in that stillness, your energy speaks louder than any word ever could. Jung called this the return of the soul, the moment you remember what's always been yours. The truth is, the world doesn't need you to be more beautiful, or louder, or stronger. It just needs you to be awake, to live from the center, not the surface. That's where all grace begins. And that's what makes you unforgettable. If this message reached you, carry it quietly. Let it guide the way you walk, the way you breathe, the way you speak to yourself tomorrow morning. Thank you for being here, truly. And if you choose to stay, we'll go even deeper next time, into the kind of awareness that doesn't just change how others see you. It changes how you see yourself.